Okay, let's do this properly, shall we? Where are we? Oh, I don't need that. I need that. Okay, exciting. Here we go. Thank you, everyone who's tuning in. Oh, 5 people live already. I'm here. Don't worry, I'm here. I'm not too late. Good to see you. I'm going to center myself a bit here. Good to see you. Hope you're well. 2 things to do tonight. 2 very important things to do tonight. One of them is a challenge that was laid down in last night's live stream from SM Yan. And it was completed. The challenge was completed by our Cellar Master Andrew Durbidge earlier today. So that challenge took less than 24 hours to complete, and I'm going to read that out in this live stream, which is exciting. Whiskey and Drinkies, good to see you, Irina. Lockie 1987, Matt Music MW, Ali's Whiskies, Mr. Kareem, good to see you. All the great regulars coming in right now. So that was the first thing I wanted to discuss tonight was the... but I'm going to make myself a drink first. And when I say make, what I mean is make tonight. Now I'm going to preface by saying that I am not a mixologist. I don't know how to make great cocktails. That's not really my ballpark. My realm is as a whiskey ambassador to present spirit in the way that I think it best appreciates the spirit. And that normally means neat. It sometimes might mean adding a few drops of water. And that's why you rarely see me mix drinks, but I'm going to do a little bit of that tonight for a couple of reasons, which I'll explain. First of all, I'm always of the opinion that the world's best chefs, it's not an opinion, it's a fact. The world's best chefs use the best ingredients. So why not the same when it comes to whiskey? Why not use the world's best whiskies, Society single casks, to make some great drinks? Now, I'm not making a cocktail per se, I'm just making a simple mixer, which is something I wouldn't normally do on this channel, but I'm going to grab my glass here, and I'm going to grab my pourer here, and I'm going to start with a bit of ice. You can see me get a bit of ice in that glass there. That looks good. And I'm going to grab a bottle of 93.108. That was one of the festival bottlings for Campbelltown Malts Festival here. So much of this is upsetting me already. Yeah, I knew it would. I knew it would upset some people, but there's a reason for this doing this. I'll show you why. I'm going to pour an equal measure into that. I'm going to go for, let's say, 30 mils. Bam. Ooh, that smells good already. Maybe I'll just drink that. No. Okay, and then I'm going to add a premium mixer that I want to really try. So, Fever Tree Smoky Ginger. There we go. I'm going to hold that one up so you can see it. The reason I'm doing this is to cause a bit of blasphemy and upset a few members. You know how it is. Have a bit of fun with it. Why not? Smoky ginger ale, that one is. And I'm just going to crack that. Ooh, good sound. Ooh, good bit of foam on that. And just top that up. And see how that goes. Oh, wow. The smell on that is remarkable. Okay. Cheers. That works. That is a remarkably lovely whiskey and ginger. It was actually the famous whiskey. It was the whiskey author and all-round sort of whiskey host, UK sort of whiskey behemoth, if you like, Dave Broom. If you've not read any of Dave Broom's books, I highly recommend them. I've got a few down there which I don't have in front of me this very second. If you indulge me, I can run and grab them if you want. Where he takes different core range of whiskies and even some single cask whiskies and turns them into interesting drinks. And he might use soda for some, he might use cola for others, he might use ginger for some, and mix them up. This Glen Scotia with a bit of smoky ginger in this case works really nice. And that's what I felt like, a bit of a longer drink rather than just a dram just now. Ah, that's lovely. I'm going to enjoy that. So, let me grab a few. What's good, Mr. Ambassador? A bit of Scotia and a bit of smoky ginger is good, Cal. Monarch Perth, good to see you, Monarch Perth. And I'm looking forward to a little delivery from you, actually. I'd like a pint of that, please. Ooh, I think a pint would knock me on my ass at this point. Oh no, it's a beer live stream. There's no beer. There's no beer on this table at all, Cal. I've taken a 93.108 smoky malty, earthy and masculine, bottled for Campbelltown Malts Festival 2019. A lovely bottling from Distillery 93 there. and I've mixed it in with a little bit of smoky ginger ale from Fever Tree. Fever Tree very graciously sent me some samples, so I wanted to play around with them a bit here, and you can have a look at that one there. And that's something from that I'm just going to try and upset a few people with. Why not? Jorka, good to see you. Cheers. Neil Xiao, good to see you. Lockie, I guess Lefroy Oysters work. Can't argue. It's true. Why not? Why not try mixing things every so often? Use great ingredients, in this case these two just here, to make great drinks. That's all there is to it. So, well, that's actually really quite lovely. Oh, that's a really lovely drink. Okay. Now, Fever Tree, a Sydney company. I haven't seen it in Melbourne, but have a look for it. Seen it before. Fever Tree's everywhere, mate. It's in the UK. It's in the UK. It's in Australia. It's all over Sydney, Melbourne. They're premium mixers. They're really good for mixing things with, and I really rate them. I think they make great mixers. No, it's not a Sydney company. I think it's a UK company. I'm talking about it. I'm talking about Fever Tree, but I really don't know anything about it. No, it's imported. It's anyway. I don't know where it's made. Sorry, but I think it's lovely. I think it's a really lovely smoky ginger. That one I've never had. I'm gonna have a taste of that smoky ginger on its own. Oh wow, it's like very iodine. Lots of iodine in that. That's very strange, but it works well. It works well with the spirit, and that's what I've done here. All right. Last night, a challenge was laid down by SM Yan, one of our members, to see if he could rhyming couplets for outturn. So I'm going to read this out, and here we go. So SM Yan made us blow our own trumpets by challenging us to do outturning couplets. So we'll give it a try and see how we go. Pull back the curtains and let's now start the show. So one of the tricks with the outturn you'll find is that November and December have now been combined. It's a bumper edition with lots to read though, and also heaps of Christmas gifts too. Sorry, it's a bumper edition with lots to read through, and also heaps of Christmas gifts too. There's a column from Andrew, and a column from Matt, and the usual list of events up the back. Susie and Andre have contributed some thoughts. There's so much to read, it's like a licorice all sorts. We have more to the month, but there's now something new. For in this outturn, you'll actually find two. We have some special releases and some bottles of stars, and there's also some news about our partner bars. There's a brandy, an Armagnac, and also a rum. And we've thrown in a Cavalan for a bit of fun. There are a few that are peated, a Kalila for sure, and also a beautiful cask from Ardmore. There's a Glenfarclas and a Linkwood. They're anything but tame, and there's naturally an example of a fantastic grain. Some are from barrels where bold flavours are rife. There's some casks that held sherry in a previous life. There's a few casks from Speyside we haven't seen for a while. There's bound to be whiskey in your favourite flavour profile. There's some whiskies on special and some bottles to buy, and the Gathering Discovering Pack to take home and try. There's a cask that comes from a place near Glenlivet. If you like malts that are sweet, then you won't want to miss it. So that's our next outturn. It's a real whiskey scene. It's all ready for purchase on November 15. Full credit to Andrew Durbidge, our cellar master, for putting that together. What's amazing, he's actually made a full rhyming couplet of outturn. And I'm going to publish that online. I'll put it up on our website tonight so you can all read it. It's so good. It's so much fun. It was a challenge laid down by member Lamb last night, which was fantastic that we've managed to put that together in such a... Andrew's put that together, not me. Andrew's put that together entirely in such a short amount of time. And that was, really amazing for him to do that. And SM Yan, that one was for you, from Andrew. And he's made a full rhyming couplet. It'll be up on the website. I'll put it on our Facebook group as well tonight. So you can read it later as well. And you can even read it to yourself, which is, it's quite a mouthful, as I've just discovered. There you go, SM Yan. Amazing indeed. This is legit fantastic. I totally agree. Just going back to some of the questions, Tuesday mashup. Caltay asks, so it's a mixer you can drink it straight, or is there the percentage of alcohol? No, it's completely no alcohol in that mixer. It's in Melbourne at Dan's. There you go. Glenfarclas. Lots of love, Ezza. Ezza, you'd love Glenfarclas. No kidding. Dram Queen 1826. Good to see you. This is legit fantastic. Thank you. Holy shit, he says. SMN, I agree. Amazing. I recall you don't like couplets from last night's video. Surprising someone with a Bob Dylan LP behind. That's true. There is a Bob Dylan LP behind. No, I like couplets, but for me, it's like it can be a bit nerdy. I think not nerdy, but it's sort of like they're a bit of fun. I like them because they're sort of like they. I guess no, they're fun. That's fine. I'm just maybe I don't like them because I can't write them. I'm not very good at writing them. Oh, it's lovely. For those who've just joined the stream, I've done a bit of blasphemy tonight. A icon derpage. I think it's an icon. For those who've just joined the stream, I've taken our bottling of 93.108, which is a Campbelltown Malts Festival bottling from earlier this year. There's a few left of those still, by the way, if anyone wants to grab one. And I've mixed it up with a Fever Tree Smoky Ginger Ale, which is we're sort of delving into some lovely mixer territory here. It's always seen as a bit blasphemous, and that was sort of the topic I wanted to discuss and cap off with tonight. It's a bit of a late stream tonight, I'm sorry. That needs a feature in outturn. Surely print is not completely done and shipping ready. Yeah, no, Cal, it's actually that might. I think we're going to discuss some mixes and stuff in the January outturn. So keep your eye out for that. The November December issue is already locked away. It's already jam packed, already at the printers. So but we're going to do an issue. We'll do some more content on mixes because I find it fascinating, especially just taking good whiskey and good mixes as well. I'm not a fan of using sort of like sort of really nice sort of like a cask of 29 with just stock standard Coca-Cola. I think that might be a bit sort of like, yeah, that's okay, whatever. But it might also be a case of just enjoying mixes that are actually really nicely crafted mixes, like a smoky ginger ale. That's a bit weird, but it's lovely. It works really well, and the smoke sort of balances with the sort of the earthiness of the iodine note in the ginger ale isn't overwhelmed by the spirit, but it balances up really nicely with a bit of ice in there. Ah, lovely. So that was sort of one of the points I want to discuss on. Do you ever mix? It's a question for you as people who are watching. Do you ever mix your whiskies? And if you do, what do you mix them with? And do you find a time and place for them? Is it sort of like a hot evening kind of thing? You might make a long drink. You might make a highball, or a whiskey and ginger, or a whiskey sour. Or how do you? Is there any ways? I'm talking specifically about whiskey. I'm not going to delve into rum long drinks or anything, or rum cocktails or anything like that for tonight. As I said to you, I started this live stream by saying I'm not a cocktail guy. As in, like I don't regularly drink them. I don't know. I don't regularly make them either. I'm not a bartender and I'm not a mixologist. But I am certainly enjoy making them and enjoy discovering the flavors that can combine really nicely. And I find that there's, if I'm being completely honest, I reckon like 97% of cocktails out there are. It's only the 3%. It's really sort of the top end that really intrigue me. Sort of the single cask element of them, if you will, because they've got a bit more sort of it's the sum of the ingredients coming together to perform a coherent cocktail. We did some events last year and the year before with Cocktail Co, and that was fantastic because she's a delight to work with. Enoka's great to work with, and she created some flavors and some pairings with society casks. One of them was a 44, one of them was a 26, and one was a 29, I believe. And we sort of found 3 different casks, 3 different flavor profiles, and made some delicious drinks out of them as well. And she sort of did all the creation of such, and they were madness. They were truly mad. Some of them, they were great. There's one where I had to lug an ice cream maker, this giant ice cream making machine, up a street in Sydney just to create it, and it was like, yeah, that's a fair call. It was good. It was lots of fun. Let's grab some of these comments. So yeah, okay. Here we go. SMWS Archie Rose highball was delicious. Thank you, Whiskey Gutcher. That was one of my little inventions. I used Peat Fairy for that highball. I think I love using peated whiskey in highball. You don't have to, of course, but it was like a light peated whiskey, lemon wedge, soda, ice. Lovely. No, Rams, it may be the new Slim Shady. I'll take your word for it. 2 Rupees Brewing joined. Good to see 2 Rupees. Coke is definitely a no-go. No, not with Coke. Mixed cheap whiskey with a coffee. Cheap whiskey and coffee. I mean, does it have to be cheap whiskey? What about really nice whiskey with coffee? I've never put coffee and whiskey together, but Not in the same drink, I mean. But I could try that. In summer, yes, soda, of course. Yeah, why not? Rye whiskey and Bundy ginger ale. Wazza 21, can I recommend you try some of these ginger ales that aren't Bundy? Some of them are really good. There's some really lovely ginger ales out there. Cigar juice and coca, I don't think so. Whiskey sour. We need a live stream for an S&B's highball. Yeah, I could do that. I could do that tomorrow night or something. Boulevardiers. Yes, one of my favourite whiskey memories was watching May mix something with Diet Coke and also, yeah, delicious. Can't be too precious about these things. No, you can't be at all. No, that's what I'm saying. We enjoy just-in-time cocktail co. There you go, yes. I was just talking about your cocktail co, about our events we've done in the past, single cask cocktails and things like that. And I said tonight I'm not making cocktails. I just made a mixer instead because I had some Fever Tree stuff arrive, which is great. And that is really nice. It's a smoky ginger with an earthy 93, that one there. I'm going to read some of these comments. Whiskey and ginger lemonade. Some Scots also miss whiskey with iron brew. Yes, I still can't say that. Recently took some whiskey, put it straight into the soda stream. Actually worked quite well. We'll try next time with a bourbon and add some bitters and orange garnish. Ooh, Ellie, that sounds really good actually. I've always been on the cusp of buying a soda stream. I've got a friend who uses one, and I've always been like, oh, that's quite cool. I like the idea of sort of instant sparkling water, but I've never thought to put whiskey through a stream. That'd be cool actually. Let's see what that could do to the spirit. That'd be something quite interesting, I think. Marinated meats with whiskey. Yes, Richie. Yes, I have. I've done smoked meats with whiskey. I've done sort of marinated meats. Meat and whiskey is like a match made in heaven for me. Almost to the point of being sort of like overkill match made in heaven. It's so good. Like especially when you find sort of like that really lovely balance between sort of like a sort of really braw sort of peated whiskey, and I mean braw as in like a really sort of brash kind of peated whiskey, like a young Kalila, or sort of like even like a young-ish from Distillery 93 here, a 10-year-old cask, something like that. I find I get a really lovely sort of like balance between the smoked meat and the smoked whiskey. I find it harder to pair sort of sherried whiskies and non-peated whiskies with some meats, especially sherried whiskies with a bit of delicate nature of them. Some of them are a bit delicate. I like delicate sherry whiskies. I do. I really do like sherried whiskies that don't have to be. Everyone's always looking for a sherry bomb. This is almost like a Monday rant topic. I know, and I'm a day late, and I had my rant last night. But this is almost like a sherry. Like people are always looking for sherry bomb. Nuance is gone. It's like this. It's like really why? Proof is not the determiner of power. The flavor is, and I have to stress that proof is not the determiner of power in a whiskey. The flavor is. I've had whiskies that are 44% ABV and are powerful flavored. I've had 65% whiskies that are light and delicate. And that's really a crucial point to make out here. So it's just like, this whole sort of like, people see like a sherried whiskey. And I think Andrew wrote something about this recently that really resonated with me about how you can sort of like, how you can sort of find these sherried whiskies that are often quite light. They could be like a fourth or fifth fill sherry butt. They could be a fourth fill PX, a fifth fill PX cask. Normally not too many fifth fills out there, but it could be a fourth fill PX. And it could be really light in color. It could be, sort of almost like that kind of color in the, and it's like that's often sort of then derided as in like being not strong enough, not big enough sherry or something. It's like, and I think you're missing the point. I think the point then it's sort of a lost. It's like everyone's like, oh, is it as big as like is it a sherry bomb? It's like no, but not every sherried whiskey has to be. Just like peated whiskey can be lightly peated. It can have a bit of nuance to it rather than just being a peat bomb or whatever it is, or a vanilla bomb. It's like some bourbons I find some bourbons can be a little bit sort of like one-dimensionally vanilla-y. It's like, whereas you find other bourbons that some bourbons have almost bits of sawdust or almost peanut oil and almost a bit of brimstone and bonfire in some bourbons. And it's like, you find things like that and you go, oh, that's really interesting. The tasting notes are really fascinating, whereas others are a bit sort of one-dimensional. And it's always the one-dimensional ones that get a lot of the credit, let's be honest. It's like they sort of get all the love because it's like how dark is that whiskey? How sherried is that whiskey? How peated is that whiskey? Yeah, and we all know which brand advertise themselves as the the peatiest whiskey on earth, blah blah blah, the peatiest Scotch whiskey. when in fact it's not true. It's just they're marketing a number rather than an actual peat. Whiskey Tribe played with SodaStream. Sorry, I'm just going back through comments. I might try that. Yeah. Whiskey Tribe on YouTube. Yes. The glaze on my Christmas ham is always whiskey based. So, yeah. So strong sherry or smoke. So good. Yeah, good. It'll destroy bourbon. Stuff goes everywhere when you need to watch the Whiskey Tribe and have a proper machine. Wow. Ooh, SNWS and the Whiskey Vault. That could be a collaboration. I should get them on. I like variety. Sometimes a punch in the face, sometimes a gentle caress. I'm happy with the phrasing. I'm happy with the phrasing. Lucky, you're a classic. Tomorrow might be pleated by number. Others had taste. I don't know what that. I think that comment sort of got lost on me there. A peat bog versus a sherry bomb. Yeah, exactly. Optimal. Oh, sorry. Yes, Lacabio. Sorry, I get what you mean now. Do you think Jack Daniels is one-dimensional? I found banana. Yeah, I mean, I think Jack's a fantastic product. Actually, it's. I think Jack Daniels Old Number 7, like their normal Old Number 7, is a fine whiskey. It's great for blenders. It's great for speed rail. It's great for sort of. It serves a purpose. Obviously, it's a mass-produced product, and it's a great product. I think it's actually one of the best entry-level bourbons still in the market. Entry-level American whiskeys. I know they call themselves a Tennessee Sour Mash, but still, it's one of the best entry-level American whiskeys in the market. I think it's better than Beam White Label, if I'm being honest, and I think it's better than many others. However, it's one of those products, just like Beam, that as soon as you step up a few notches, it gets a lot better. There's a lot better product in their range, like Jack's Single Barrel, especially if you can find the car strength one, and things like Booker's is great. Baker's 7's great. There's lots of great bourbons, of course, that are you've just got to step up a couple of notches, and it doesn't break the bank. Bourbon's still quite cheap, but the middle's been hollowed out of that market, as I've said before. Sort of like you've got lots of lovely bourbons up to about $100, $120, and then you're sort of like, then you've got a few sort of that start at $1,200 up. So there's no sort of middle ground on that sort of in that realm, which is interesting. Yeah, I agree. Sometimes it takes a little bit of searching in a whiskey to find its subtleness. I enjoy lightly peated whiskey as much as I enjoy a bomb. Yeah, exactly. And look, I'm not deriding cherry bombs or massive peat whiskies. They serve a purpose, and sometimes you're absolutely in the mood for that. But I think that you see a lot of discussion online in the way that people are sort of seeking out whiskey and how they're discovering it and what they're enjoying out of it, and it becomes a bit like, oh, is that a sherry bomb? Oh, it's not. I'm not interested. It's like it becomes this sort of the discussion turns into this sort of almost one-dimensional sort of, oh, it's got to be the biggest sherried whiskey I've ever had, or it's nothing. It's like, well then you're missing the orchestral greats rather than just listening to the rock and roll, and that's the analogy I like to put in it. The subtle whiskies, even at cask strength, it's not about the proof, it's about the flavour. Even at cask strength, a light and delicate whiskey can have so much nuance and so much like loveliness to it, and they can be almost like a floral bouquet in the mouth, and it's just like the flavours are outstanding, yet they're often overlooked because it's like it's not there. They're not. I don't know. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. Thoughts on Bullet and Buffalo? Buffalo's a little bit better than Bullet in my opinion at the moment, but only because it's just a bit oilier, a bit richer spirit. My thoughts on both of them, however, is that I wish Australia got the actual versions of those spirits and not the watered down versions that we see in local market. They're both 45% ABV in the US, but we get 40% versions here. You can blame the Australian tax office and your federal government and spirits excise duty rates for that. And the big companies deciding they want to compete on price and not on quality. And that's what these ever-rising excise does to the trade. So that's my thoughts on that. We're not going to talk about excise. We're not going to talk about tax tonight. That's another discussion for when you really want to have a snooze. So that's, I don't want to say it, but Hibiki changes every time I taste it. Always changing and progressing in my taste buds. I mean, Hibiki's fine. It's a lovely blend. I don't think it's any better than any other blend on earth. I'll just say that. I mean, I think people often ask me what I think of Hibiki or I think of Japanese whiskey in general. That's a pretty broad discussion again. That could be tomorrow night or something if you want. But I don't think there's anything. I think Hibiki's a lovely blend. I don't think it's any better or worse than any other blend. I think it's a lovely blend. If anything, it's a little bit overpriced for what it is. When there's some, look at things like if you're looking at blends, even from our stable, you could look at things like we've got some more Heresays coming out next year and even later this year still. They're all blended malts, however. But if you're looking at strictly blends, look at things like Compass Box. Look at things like dare I say, even like most of the Shivers range make great blends. I was talking to someone about this just the other week. Shivers 18 for me is still one of the best blended whiskies on the market. It's like It's probably 1/3 the price of a Hibiki. I don't know how much Hibiki is anymore these days. I try not to keep up with that stuff because it just gets a bit sort of, it just becomes a spiral of collectors rather than people who rather than a community of appreciators. There you go. That's being as diplomatic as I'm going to be on that one. Next week, love the tax office. Yes, exactly. Let's talk about law. I believe Alex has an inside look. Yeah, Compass Box is interesting. Shivers is a great whiskey. Yeah, it's. I wrote an article recently, which if you got my ambassador's wrap today, which went out about lunchtime today, there's an article that's in that email called 5 Things I Wish I Knew Earlier in Whiskey, and it's about 5 things that I've learned over the years that I wish it's 5 mistakes. It's basically mistakes I've made over the years in assumptions, and then learnt later where I needed to adjust. But one of those points in there was bashing blends is silly. And that's true. It's like, you see people who, like, I love single cask whiskey. That's why I work for the Society. That's why I love the Society. That's why I love what we do. I love single cask, single malt whiskey, finding flavors unique to that cask and sharing them with members. That's what it's about for me. However, that doesn't mean I then, on the same hand, go, oh, well, yeah, well, all blended whiskey is inferior. It's, it's like, oh, it's not as good as single malt. That's nonsense. That's really terrible. Like, it's a terrible attitude to have. And I think at one point when I first started with the Society, I almost had this sort of like, well, single cask is the best and blends are a bit sort of cheap. And I think that's really that's a really inferior way of looking at it. I had a blend. I tasted a blended whiskey. It would have been probably $3,500 a bottle. Of course, I didn't buy a bottle of it. I was very privileged to be able to taste it, and I thought it was one of the best whiskeys I've ever had. And I go, well, that's actually a really remarkable whiskey. It's a blended whiskey. So it's a discussion for another time. We'll talk about blends another time as well. You've got to remind me of these things so I don't go off on a tangent. I've already gone off on a tangent. Anyway, that's enough for me tonight. I've knocked about 28 minutes in the head now. So it's and I don't want to keep you too late because it's also, I'm going to enjoy this drink and sit back. But I know there's an art in the blend, but I'm yet to find one to compare to single. Yeah, they're just very different, Lockie. There is an art in blending, but that's why I love single cask. I do prefer single cask whiskey, and I love working with the Society and actually discovering single cask whiskey because 2 reasons. The community of people that love single cask whiskey, like yourself, that we get to sit back and enjoy these things. That's what it's about. And the second reason is because I never, ever, almost ever, get to talk about the same lineup twice, which is strange for an ambassador. I'll give you that. It's like I'll talk about one whiskey one week, and a lineup one week, and then the lineup changes the week after because it's always different single casks coming in. There's always something for members to explore. Can we get a Bailey wrap? Ooh, you know what? I'll try writing something, but I just don't have that kind of prose. But I'll give it a go. I'm not adverse to trying new things, so I'll give that a go. All right. I'm going to enjoy my 93, 108, and the rest of my smoky ale. And the boy has a musical background, doesn't he? Really, he should compose them. Yeah. What are you making again? What are you making again tomorrow? I'll be watching. Well, I might try another mix there, Cocktail Co. I might try another mix. I haven't decided which one yet, but I've got a few other sort of little mixes and things to try here. So some are on this desk somewhere, and they're over there, and some are in the fridge. So I'll see what I can find, and I'll put something together. Yes, I do have a musical background. I've even got a degree in it. There you go. There's something you may not have known. Lovely to see you all. Thank you so much for tuning in, as always. And I'll see you tomorrow night. Happy mixing. Give it a try yourself. Pick something out from your own collection of single casks and mix in the best ingredients with the best ingredients. That's what it's a bit of fun. Cheers, and bye for now.